Hey, my name's Eric. I'm making a game. That game is called the Godkiller. And throughout the construction of this game, I have written code. I have designed puzzles, made music and sound effects, art. And the work involved in the game is mostly all done by me. The stream is a byproduct of the work. It's not a thing to be looked after for its own sake. If anything, it helps enforce a little ritual for me to say, okay, here's the proof. I did something today that moved the game forward. So I may still use the stream for the stuff that isn't coding, which has been like maybe a draw for a dozen people or something like that. In any case, I'll do what I feel like and let the chips fall where they may, because the stream does not matter. The game matters. I need to get it released. I will get it released, and there's a lot of work I have to do, and a lot of it will be not entertaining to the same set of people that thought earlier stuff was entertaining. And that's okay. That's fine. I think I probably will do some streaming today of some drawing, and then after a bit, I might go off stream and do some more work, because I gotta get a playtesting build out. Okay, first though, let's demo. I like to demo at the beginning. That's my one accommodation to my super small audience is I will try to show recent progress on the game at the beginning of the stream, so you don't have to sift through hours of me working on whatever I'm working on. Alright, so recently I received character models from Isaac in Brazil, who is a guy that I've hired to make 3D character models. And I learned about him because I went to the asset store at Unity, and I looked for hours through all of the assets and said, which ones do I want to use? And he had his own style, which was well suited to mine and what my game needed. You know, it's not like real tough looking badass people. No, it's not. It's not this game. You know, it was a little more stylized, a little more. I don't know what's the word for it. There's the main character's model here is it's right from an asset store asset. Hey, Fright Law. She didn't look like some super hot sci-fi babe or anything like that. There are assets like that. You know what it is? There's like a bit of a vulnerability to the characters that I like. They're not there to be tough and heroic. They still look good though. They're not ridiculous. They are semi-realistic. But they are stylized. And that fits with my own illustration style. So these faces, this is a face I drew. It's a little bit cartoon, but it's somewhat realistic as well. So from Isaac, I got the character model for Billy. I had sent him concept art. This is what I'm pointing at is Billy. Now the face art above Billy is it's placeholder. It's just a repeat of M, the main character. But I've been working also on the face art for Billy. I'm probably about halfway done with it. It takes a while because you have to make all these emotions. You have to do all the different parts that make up the face. So that the code I wrote will be able to manipulate the face and animate it automatically like it's doing for M's face. Okay, so I got the 3D character model for Billy. And it looks pretty good to me. It matches the concept art that I sent him. And I just dropped it in. I had it working in, maybe 5 minutes, something like that. Okay, I also got character art for some other things too. I think maybe the easiest thing is I'll just drop them into the level. So let's just throw a Groldy down there. Maybe we'll put a bunch. And have them face some different ways. Or I can just knock them around. That will do the same thing. Okay. And then a new character who's going to not do much of anything in this game, but be just kind of mysterious. I guess I'll put him here. And let's turn him so he faces the opposite way. His name is Glyph. Alright. So if you want to see what they look like close up, this is a camera view you'll never see in the game. But he basically, Isak, he put in enough details that from the camera point of view, it's ideal. So he could have put more details. He could have smoothed out the polygons and everything. But you wouldn't see it very much. You wouldn't see much of a difference at the typical camera height. And it would up the polygon count. So for performance reasons, it's really better not to create more polygons for the models than you actually need. So there's the Groldies. They're moving to what they think is where they need to go. This level isn't really set up in the right way for them to be at their natural best. What they love to do is find a block pad with a block next to it and wait till you get in front of that block, and then they push the block at you. They're a little mean-spirited. Alright, so there is... Oops. I kind of went right by Glyph without really... You can kind of see him. The depth of field effect is hiding him a bit. I might go back around and mess with him. Okay, so you all got stuck. I can push you around a little bit. I have to say I have no idea why they're stopping when they decide to stop. Oh, it's probably because underneath there's a... Anyways, doesn't matter. The Groldies are not in their element right now. They're acting kind of weird. Okay, I'll go back up top so that I can get a better look at Glyph inside the level. For that, I have to basically solve this level. Billy's running away from me. No! Okay. So now that I've destroyed Billy, I can come back, go through the gate that's now open, but there's a way back up top, which is where I wanted to get. So we can get a better look at Glyph. Alright, so up here, see that's the typical view you would see of Glyph. Here he's at the same height as nice, a little bit lower I guess than, no, he's at the same height. He's at the same height as M. So yeah, this is typically how you'd see him. As I was saying before, there's not much point in detailing beyond where they're at now. The best it could do, the best benefit you get out of that is perhaps when the camera gets closer, because Glyph might be raised up above on a different platform. You might get a more detailed view of him at that point, but those views are so rare, it's just not worth adding all kinds of effort and reduction of performance to get it. I could do LOD too, but it's such a small benefit I'd get for going above that amount of detail. Alright, then here he's even closer. I can push him, he'll run away. He's cowering right now. He's like, don't hurt me. I'm not sure if you can see that he's got claws, but the claws let him climb up on walls later after I make some new animations for him to be up on walls. I like the stripes. I wasn't sure if I would, but yeah, I like the stripes. Alright. So, oh, I got one more thing to demo, which is, will take me right into my work. Let's stop this guy. Are you stopping? Sometimes Unity IDE is not very good about giving some kind of feedback that an action is in progress. You just have to remember that you click the button to unplay. Otherwise, you might click it again. You'll just start it playing again. So that, and then let's get rid of this guy. They don't belong in this level. I guess I'll save. Sometimes it feels more dangerous to save than not to save. Okay, so let's turn off the AirPlay for this computer. And let's hook up the iPad. I'll show you what I've been working on. This is art stuff. I suppose I could change my stream category to something besides science and technology if I'm going to do an art session, but that sounds like work. And I think I'm probably not going to do a long stream of this. I'm just going to give a sample of what I'm working on, and then I'll do most of the work off stream because I like to switch between portrait and landscape a lot. It doesn't seem like my no, I'd take it back. It seems like I can do it just fine. Yeah, that's not bad at all, actually. From a streaming perspective, I don't think it's too annoying. Okay. Well, I'll go until I decide not to. Alright. So here's Billy. Here's the face art for Billy. And I'm about midway through it. So I've completed the inking for the 11 emotions. I've completed, I guess one thing that's a little bit hard to show is like a mouse pointer on this. I can touch stuff, but then like it actually draws on it, so I don't want to draw on it. I've completed the eye backing area, which is the top one here, this thing here I'm drawing on. Irises and lids. Those are parts that go behind the different faces. Okay, and then I would say I'm way more than halfway done, but I still have to do the mouth movements for speaking. And it's a whole Blair Visine chart. I say Blair. Blair is Preston Blair, Disney founder, old-time animator. Came up with a lip animation chart that was used in quite a few places. And that's what I use for my mouth movements as well. So It usually takes a fair amount of fucking around to get those right. But today I will keep working on Billy, on all of his emotions, and I'll see where I get. And I was about to say I apologize if, and let's take out the word apologize. I understand that some people may not be as into watching me draw stuff, but I just want to work on whatever's important for the game, and I'll stream while I do it. And if people like what I'm doing at one point in time, cool. If they don't, I'm here to work, you know. So that's what's up for today. Okay. So I remember that I had just gone through and finished one pass on the faces where I was applying one color. Let's pick the next color and then go. Basically, the neutral face is good already. And the other faces, I used this tool called Liquify to push them around so that they would match. And there's a whole bunch of cleanup to do on all the other faces. But because it's a little bit time consuming to pick the right color, because I have to do this extra little fidgety bit, I'm doing the colors in one pass. Meaning I'll pick one color and then I'll go to each face and then I will apply just that one color. Seems to me there's probably a better way to do that. I think I'm gonna fix that problem now because it would be more satisfying to me to work on one face at a time. All right, let's see if I can fix that problem now. I need a palette. I think that's the basic thing that I need. Palettes. Let's just make a new one. Create new palette. I'm gonna call it. Call it Billy palette. Okay, default to that one. So if I come over to here, I just got the palette there. Okay, cool. Okay, so then I need the colors out of Billy's face, but I know that in order for me to do it correctly, I have to temporarily change the, I don't know what you call it, this color mode to, oh, not that one. Okay, go over here, change it from multiply to normal, and this allows me to select the color correctly so I can put it in the palette. Okay, so bring the palette back up, and okay, I haven't messed with palettes in a while, so how does this work? Okay, I got that there. Let's say, might have to mess around with this a bit. Okay, so here's that light skin color. Oh, disc. Yeah, set current color. Or, I think so. Okay, and let's pick a different color. Okay, now I'm getting somewhere. Cool. Okay. So that one is nose. And let's see what else. There's the gums. Okay, then there's the shadow on the nose. Trying to put things next to each other that belong together. Okay, so that's nose, that's shadow nose, that's gums, then there's the skin, and then there's skin shadow. Let's get skin shadow. Okay. Do I have them all? There's two kinds of skin shadow. There's light skin shadow, and then there's dark skin shadow underneath the chin. So let's get the dark skin shadow. I think this is a good move compared to what I was doing before. Since it was so hard to pick the colors before, or not hard, but just time consuming, I was just doing only one color across all the faces at a time. Oh, I would love it if you'd let me move this over. There we go. All right, the first three are main skin. Next two are nose skin. Then we got gum color. The white is just doing eraser so that the layer underneath shows through. Okay, so now that I've got that palette there, I can turn this layer back to, no, not that one. The one above neutral. Back to multiply. So what's going on with these layers is that there's one layer per emotion that is just pen and ink. And then just above them, let's see, something's off. Just above them is a color layer. And I just screwed up some other layer by accident. Need to make sure those are still good. I put the pen and ink layer to multiply. It needs to be on normal. Multiply means that colors are drawn only if they're darker than the layer underneath them. So if I've got my neutral layer here, it's just white and black. Just above it is the color layer that's going to go along with the neutral emotion. It's got multiply on. So that means that I can draw on top of this and not go through the black lines, which is a giant time saver. Because if I've got all these layers merged together and I'm editing the color in the same layer as the lines that I slaved over a bit, I'll be constantly having to make edits to the lines because I can't draw color so precisely that it doesn't affect the black lines if they're on the same layer. But if they're on separate layers and I've got the black lines how I like them, then all the changes I make, they're only going to draw color in over the white areas on the layer underneath, they will not draw color over the black areas. So it's a very easy way to precisely color within the lines. You don't have to worry about getting it exactly right when you go up to the edge of the lines. But the trick of that is that I have to get my palette set up so that when I come back here, it's easy for me to get the colors, the correct colors. Because when you're in multiply mode, the little disc that samples it doesn't pick the right color. Okay, so let's do next. What's the best one to do next? I think let's get the nose done. So nose is this one. Now let's see if I did this right. I hope I did it right. I got the right layer. No, I got the wrong layer. Okay, now I got the right layer. Yep, okay, I did it right. Let's see. So I can kind of guess based on the nose position where this color's at, where it's going to have to go down to. Oh yeah, the nose went way down on this face. So that there's this liquefy tool that I used to very quickly yesterday take the neutral face and then create all the other animation states, or the lines for the lines for the different emotions. And you can use it kind of like you're pushing clay around, but in 2 dimensions. And it just very nicely squishes lines one direction or the next, which is how faces work. I mean, faces are just your skin hanging off some bones and muscle, and when you make different emotions, your face squishes around different ways. So it's a pretty nice, natural way to get all the emotions quickly, is just to take liquefy and push all the features around in ways that match how the normal human face would move. Okay. So I'm thinking if this is probably the same color as the ears. It is. Okay, so the nose is also the color I used. Okay, I got it. So the nose is the same thing as the skin shadow color. So I can fill in these other places with the nose color. I think that's true for lips as well. So I added one superfluous color to my palette, apparently. A little bit worried about being able to update this specular highlight efficiently. Because I don't have many good cues for where it should start and stop. Alright, I'm going to try erasing it, and I'll see if I can recreate it without too much work. Oh, that's one I didn't add to my palette. I did not add the nose specular. Alright, one more color for the palette. I have to go back to the color above neutral. Set it back to normal mode, and then you'd say it's just white. It's not just white. It took me a while to figure out the right color. Okay, so then let's put this in with the nose. Yeah. So it's redundant. The nose mid-range is the same thing as the skin shadow or base skin shadow. So that's redundant, but it's all right. It kind of helps me to have them organized that way anyways. Back to confused. No. First set this layer back to, let's see, neutral goes back to, where's neutral? Here we go. Neutral color goes back to multiply. Okay, so all that, just so I can do the specular highlight on the nose. Okay, make sure I'm on the right layer. Confused color, there we go. So I think I'll start with a very light guideline, because I want to make sure I'm lining up against the same reference points on the nose from the neutral version. And then, let's see. I'll try to get the line weight matching too. And once I've got the line weight pretty close, and the lines are kind of looking about the same, then I can just go in and clean up the lines without referencing neutral. Be careful not to make them much bigger than they are. I'm not sure if I like how those lines join together. I'm going to go look again for how neutral's doing it. Okay. So the thing that these specular highlights do is they really add more dimension to the nose, and they make his nose almost look painful, like, you know, a bee came along and stung his nose. And that's a defining thing about this character, is that he always looks like he's in pain. He's not having a good life. He's probably incapable of having a good life due to his own psychology. Okay. Now you might notice that the neutral emotion doesn't have the neutral motion has eyes on it, and this one doesn't. That's just because the parts that I made for the eyes, I haven't bothered to move them over to this emotion like I did neutral. Those are reusable parts that the engine will put together in different ways to make the animated face. Okay. Okay, here's where you see, oops. Oh man, for all that effort, Kind of looks like I don't have a matching color. What is the deal with that? Am I drawing on the right? I am. So I should have pulled from here. Oh, that's maybe the shadow on the mouth there and the nose. Okay, right. Okay, let's see. So this would be the one. Okay, so here you see where the multiply helps out. If I had these all on the same layer, I would be fidgeting so much with the border between the black and the beige shadow, that color that I'm drawing. But multiply makes it be almost like those black lines are invincible. Like they'll never be changed, while everything else can be changed. Okay, what else? I think I'll get in a flow with this too. I'll start going a little bit faster. I'm still waking up. You gotta give me a break. Okay, consistency. Okay, the lip needs it. Okay, color on that's good. Am I missing anything? I don't think so. I got it. Okay, let's move on to the next. This one is sad. He's sad. This color, whoops. Sad color. Here we go. Okay, then I'll do the nose. Fiddling with the stream thing. Thinking like just to see like what happens if I put this in a different category. Let's go. Let's see. All right, I just moved it over to the art category. Just to see. Just to see. Well, so for my day job work, I'm an engineering manager for a team of developers that makes websites in JavaScript. And when I get off work and I'm working on my game, and I'm programming my game instead of drawing art for my game, C#, yeah. Okie doku. YHY? Huh. Yeah, I'm, huh. No, don't know how to mentally connect that one up, but yes, hell yeah. Yeah, hey, what? I don't know. How do you get YHY? Not saying there's anything wrong with that, but let's clean up this a bit. Yeah, I'll just end up redrawing the specular highlight on the nose. Okay. Okay, so back to the nose. Okay, clean up this gunk off to the right of it. Okay, fix the nose shadow. Feels like I've overdone the nose shadow, so I might have to clean that back up. Oh, I know why I'm overdoing it. I've got the size of the pen too large. Okay, let's get some more shadow on this mouth here. So this is maybe one of the least creative parts of making artwork, is when you've got some things that just need to be consistent. made one asset, and there's more creativity that was put in on the first asset. But then you got to make a whole bunch of versions of the rest of it in different forms, and then there's just a lot of attention to consistency. And I probably don't even pay enough attention, because I look at the main character face for M, which followed the same process, and I still see little things that are a bit inconsistent between her different emotions. Let's see. Okay, Specular Highlight. I'll do it the same way as last. I do know that I want to keep neutral as my reference point, and it's not always going to be close to whatever I'm drawing on. So it seems to me it'd be worthwhile to make a copy of neutral and its associated parts and move it around to wherever I'm working. Okay, so let's say duplicate that and duplicate that, and then we merge these down, and I'll call this neutral reference. We'll just drag this closer to wherever I'm working, and that will make it much, much easier to get things consistent. Okay, I was working on sad, color layer, oh yeah, this is going to save time. Same thing with programming, with art, with almost any type of thing where you're creating some kind of output and there's things you have to do repeatedly, is deciding on how to invest in small things that will make the work go faster. Sometimes it's really clear that an investment will pay off, and other times it's sort of right on the edge. There's always all these little decisions about what do I want to do to have this task go faster. So it was definitely a good idea for me to make the palette at the beginning. Although a lot of times there's even some other technique that I don't know about, and somebody just pops on and say they know the software better than I do, Procreate. And they go, oh, all you have to do is go in the settings and you click this one thing, and then whenever you do a disk on top of something else, it will ignore the multiplying effect and it will give you the correct color, and that's a lot faster than setting up a palette. So I don't say I always make the right decisions, but I guess if you're doing things to get them done, as opposed to doing them to develop your talents or to enjoy the activity for its own sake, then there are countless decisions to be made related to productivity investments as you go. And if you just do work without thinking about those investments, you'll never, you won't be working optimally. You just won't be. And I say that with full knowledge that there's somebody else, that there's several tens of thousands of people that would blow my ass out of the water doing the same work I'm doing right now. The Norman Floyds of the world. I don't consider myself an accomplished or even professional level artist. I do not. I'm a dilettante. I do a lot of things kind of good enough. And there's a good argument that I should have hired somebody else to do this, so I could focus on other things that were more like my main area of competence. And but I do have some investment in how these guys look, and it does seem to be part of what defines the game is how the characters look. So my options in a case like that where I am not 100% competent graphic designer, but I'm okay. My options are do a lot of searching to find somebody whose style is like what you wanted or convinces you to do it their way. That's quite possible to do. It's quite possible, but it is a lot of work in and of itself. Find other people to draw your way. That's hard. You have to search just as hard, and you'll be dealing with people that aren't enjoying the work that much. So it tends to be more of a pay more money type of a situation, or get really lucky and find somebody that just totally digs your style and doesn't mind being flexible and doing things your way. And then the last one is just do it yourself. Since I don't have that much face art, and I'm kind of at that 80% level where I know I can get this done and it'll be okay. I'm just doing my own. Nope, that's the wrong one. Okay. 3 down, 8 to go. Let's take the reference and move it. Although I am a little bit worried about where is this little bit of white coming from. Let's get the neutral ref and move it around. Just to make it easier to find, I think I'll move it towards the top too. Okay, so is that part of this? Yeah, okay, then I'm not too worried about it. I know what happened. On the color level of this, there's some residue. But that's okay, this one's just a reference. I may need to go back to neutral and do a little cleanup around the eyes at some point. Okay, so moving on to Afraid. So you can see how like all the colors are already there, but they're not lining up. That's because I used the liquify tool earlier to sort of squish their features around, but then I copied the color over and it didn't match up. So that's a lot of the work I'm doing right now. Okay, so then let's do the nose next. This is for Afraid, color, Afraid. The nose didn't move around too much here. So yeah, I think I'll just end up cleaning up the shadow line a bit without moving it too much. Get rid of that. Redo the specular highlight. What? Okay. Right. Okay, so then we got, there's 2 levels of shadow on the base skin. I should do these in a certain order that hasn't quite emerged yet in my mind. And there's the dark shadows on the base skin. There, I'm just kind of fixing a few uneven points. Okay. So I could have made it harder on myself and opened the palette up a bit further. Like this nose could be redder, for example, than the rest. Like I could have one kind of dark skin color for the ears, another one for the lip, another for the nose, but I wanted to keep it simple. Wanted to keep my time that I'm spending right now not too ridiculous. I don't want to spend a half hour on each of these. I want to spend maybe 15 minutes on each, that kind of thing. Let's see. So what else? I think let's fix the nose shadow next. All right, then let's do the specular highlight on the nose. That's too far away. It gets harder to draw the lines when it's too fine. But I'm struggling to see my reference art, so let's move it closer. Alright, that'll do. Okay, this one is Afraid. Okay. Another thing about Liquify that I like is that it does a good job of making very small changes to parts of the character's face that shouldn't move a lot, but you want them to move a tiny bit. Like you want the bridge of the character's nose to not be completely pixel static. But it's hard, as to think about the nose conceptually and say, okay, am I going to widen the bridge of the nose here a little bit when the movement that's needed is so small? So Liquify will make some very minute changes to things that are further away from where you're tugging on, like if I use Liquify and tug on the end of his nose, pulling it down, then maybe the bridge of the nose ought to move down just a tiny bit. It's stuff like that, which is pretty nice to have it work out for you. Okay, looks like I missed a few spots where the join is on the nose with the black line, so let's go back to there. Bam. Okay. There, fix that. Alright. So here his bottom gums are showing. So I get to put in the gums. Gums. You got bad teeth, Billy. Billy's like, it's not my fault. It's not my fault. Everything's been against me in this life. When will it be my time? When will the light shine on me? That's what Billy's thinking all the time. So I'm noticing, because I've got the reference right next to me of neutral, that the shadow line needs to come up a little bit to be consistent on the chin. So I'm just adding a little bit of thickness to that. This is the worst kind of art stuff to stream. Like nobody wants. This truly is the grunt work, but it has to be done. I mean, unless you just want to be like the sort of artist that kind of throws things together really fast, and if there are projects that need that, but there's a lot more projects that need just attention to detail, particularly in games, because you have all kinds of pieces and parts that are supposed to fit together, When I was in my early 20s, this guy did me a big favor by showing me that professional graphic design was not necessarily that fun. I had 2 big lessons along those lines, and it's why I'm not a professional graphic designer. but I was, actually I wasn't even in my 20s, I was probably 18 or 19. I got to go to an open house at the Art Institute of Seattle, which I believe is now defunct. And there was a guy showing his portfolio and telling people about his career as a graphic designer. This one is evil. This one is evil. And he had amazing work. One of the slides, he had like a slideshow. I think it was actually a proper slideshow. This is like decades back. One of his slides had green beans. Not green beans, peas. Just lots and lots of painstakingly rendered peas. Little green circles with specular highlights and shadows, just like I'm doing here. And it was for going on the can of peas, which is a good gig, I guess. You know, you're getting paid to do some art that goes on a can, and, you know, not everybody can do it. I'm sure he's paid a reasonable amount for it. But I realized it wasn't going to be like me just drawing all my fantasy art and, you know, in some kind of wild, undisciplined way. It was going to be projects with constraints. And I was like, wait a minute. Do I want to be a graphic designer? I think I want to be a comic book artist, but I guess there aren't as many jobs for comic book artists, and they don't pay that well. You know, that type of thinking started going in my head. Because there are just a shitload of jobs making art that just aren't like the stuff that you do when you're fucking around with your sketch pad. You know, there's a lot of logos to be designed. There's a lot of fitting in advertising copy inside of dead areas, and, you know, there's all kinds of stuff that's just sort of the shit work of art. What I'm doing here, on the scale of like tedious shit work to just self-indulgent, whatever creative thrill moves you forward, is somewhere in the middle. I mean, I'm making like characters that fit into my game, and the characters are sort of like my babies, but in order for it to reach some level of acceptability, some quality level, got to do this sort of boring, tedious, consistency type stuff. Okay. Let's go ahead and fix up this nose. This one has quite a bit of liquefy action on it, so almost all the places where I place color are going to be way off, because those weren't also liquefied in the same way. That would be more the argument for the downside of having a separate layer for color, is that it's a little bit tougher to apply the same liquefy mutation to both the pen and ink layer and the color layer at the same time. So I've got more sort of touch-up work as a result. Okay, let's go. Oh, let's get the lip too while I got this color going. But also, I think like almost every type of sort of hobby thing that seems like it could just become a job has got that same sort of, yeah, but there's a lot of shit work when you actually get there. So if you are someone who likes making music, like sort of a producer type, you probably along the way you've got a whole lot of time spent doing something like doing audio editing for commercials where you're trying to get somebody's speech to fit within a 30-second spot or something like that. If you're a performer, you write your own music, you probably got a whole lot of weddings to play. You probably got a whole lot of cover band gigs in your future. Probably got a lot of hours working in a Guitar Center, recommending guitars to other people who are just kind of dilettantes. Like whatever like really cool thing that you think you could be doing for your life, there's like a shit work version of it waiting for you for you to pay your dues in. So make sure you're okay with the shit work before you pick that thing. Particularly if it's like something that's like everyone wants to do this thing, or they think they do, because you're going to be competing with all those people. So you say, I want to make games. I want to write code, making games. You got some shit work ahead of you. I mean, if you really love it, then you'll emerge on the other side writing games and being happy, perhaps. But it's like a warning sign. You better be ready if the thing you pick is something that a lot of people think they want to do. Because you'll have to outlast them, basically. You want to draw comic books, you're going to have to outlast all the people that had maybe 3 years where it was their main passion and then they gave it up. You have to be sort of the one that kind of finds like a crummy job someplace, gets their foot in the industry, maybe works on some projects that aren't yours. Yeah, it's always like that for these things where everyone thinks they want to do it. And there's some like sports which like there isn't even, it's more like a lottery ticket. Either you're going to be the person that can have all the skills that's needed to get there, or you won't be. Okay. So then let's put in the dark shadows here. Follow your dream is not bad advice, but it's incomplete advice. What if everybody else is following the same dream as you, and you live in a competitive society? Just because you like to do something doesn't mean it's a good idea to pursue it for like the main thing that gives you a living, gives you food on the table and a place to live. The second experience, it told me, don't be a graphic designer. Just don't do it. Do something else. I was making a game, and it was a professional gig. I was a contractor for a company, and this was one of the few places at the time where they might say, yeah, go ahead and just make the whole game yourself with maybe help from one or two other people. And do it the way you think would work. And then along the way I had to do things like, explain to them in a documented form what I was going to make. But then, I said, okay, it looks good. Go make a game. Go ahead. Very few places that would let you do that. And this place, Webfoot Games, that's the name of the company. I was double checking, make sure I wasn't going to say something out of school with them, but I don't think I will. But this place, they would give you essentially a very small budget. Like you couldn't work on this game for a year, maybe a half a year. And even then, half a year is really pushing it. 3 months is probably what their comfort level was. But they'd say, yeah, go ahead, make the game that you think is a good game. And yeah, most places would not do that. And on some other projects, not all of them were so freewheeling. Some were like you'd have a spec and you'd make the game against the spec. And I did some projects like that too. Or you had a project manager and you'd be on a team with other people, and then they would be guiding your efforts quite specifically and asking for certain tasks be done at certain times. Okay, but this particular project was freewheeling. You decide how you're going to do it, and the person I was talking to, she knew I was an artist too, and she was kind of like that same hybrid of programmer artist person as me, so she was fine with me taking a crack at doing my own art in it. I identified the assets that needed to be created, and I set about working on them. And there's a point in the project where I had to spend 40 hours a week just making fantasy art. And not even like somebody else's fantasy art. It was draw exactly what you want to draw, what you want to make for your game that you think is good. So I would pick something like there'll be a room with a bunch of potions and stuff in it. It's like a place where it's a wizard's workshop. And so I'd draw a wizard's workshop. And it'd take me about a day to make, a little background illustration. And then I would draw like a mountaintop with a dragon over the top of it. And I'd do like mysterious enchanted forest. And I got sick and tired of doing that for 8 hours a day. Just a normal job like any artist would have. Any professional artist would have. Got sick and tired of it. So sick and tired of it. I wanted to do other things. I wanted to like write code. I want to just do anything besides drawing. And that was such a wonderful lesson to me. It was so beneficial. Because there was never any point in time after that where I said, what would have happened if I had followed my dream and become a full-time graphic designer, illustrator. Like I had tried pretty much the best possible case there, and it was not fun. Not for me. Might be for someone else. This whole documentary, this guy, Norman Floyd, talks about his work in the middle days of Disney, I'd say. I don't think he was there from the very beginning. Maybe early, but not founding. He came in around, I want to say, Sleeping Beauty. And I think that was his first feature that he worked on with them. But he was an animator's animator. Like, he just loved drawing like all the between frames. That was his favorite thing to do. Just pure cell animation. At some point, they said, you know what? Let's move you to stories. Let's have you making animatics. You can tell a good gag through visual art. And he could do it, but he didn't like it. He also was resistant to the idea that an animator could save time by going to the vault at Disney and finding old footage of, some animated woman dancing or something like that and just overlaying a new character on top of it. He didn't like it. I think for a few reasons, if I remember correctly. One was it was sort of cheap and low quality. Like he felt like they were cheating the audience out of a unique experience. It was an opportunity to create that had been wasted. I think he also had critique that, it didn't really save that much time. But at the root of it was he liked to sit down and draw the stuff out again, and like kind of that extra level of thought that goes into it. That, or not to say it's a superior kind of thought, but that more organizing style of thought, or like kind of seeing the forest for the trees, looking at the process of animation or looking at the story. He wasn't in it for that. He wanted just that raw experience of drawing, pumping out those frames, those cells. And I respect that, but I'm not that. I'm never going to be a Norman Floyd. I mean, that's easy to say now because I haven't spent my whole life like he had, devoted to just one craft. So obviously, I'm never going to approach his accomplishments. But more than that, it was clear to me I'm never going to be somebody that just loves the act of creating art so much that I would choose to spend most of my time in that state. There's some part of me that just wants to come up and see the whole picture and get the whole thing done. And also I enjoy all the other parts of it as well. So I'm never going to be that Norman Floyd type character. And I don't know. I still don't know if it wasn't a mistake for me to take on this face art thing. Like if I think there's probably like a little bit of that sort of Norman Floyd thing in me that's saying, yeah, you can do this. This is going to be fun. Just you get to spend time working on these faces and it's going to be enjoyable. But then there's like this more impatient version of me that says you should have just hired somebody. Oh, hey, Fright Law. Let me read this. Okay. Office job. Bureaucratic Armageddon and Transport Company. Scan hundreds of documents, put them into appropriate folder with the appropriate date and version. Yeah, and that would be maybe even a bleaker thing than this, because like there's no illusion that like it's expressing yourself in the best possible way by doing a bunch of repetitive work. But I totally understand that thing where you're kind of stuck in a job and it feels like it's not even just bad work for you, but maybe it's stupid work in the first place, and maybe there ought to be some better place in the world for you, and there probably is. And I think you're young too, so you'll have opportunities to get where you want to be. At least I hope you do. We don't all get to get what we want to do right away. But one of my first jobs trying to get money for college was work on a fishing boat. I was like broke, did not have money for college. And somebody probably could set me down and said, hey, student loans, get a student loan, you'll be fine, you can go to school. But I didn't, for whatever reason, maybe I wasn't organized enough or something, I didn't go down that path. And let's see, let's make sure I'm on the right one. Okay, that's neutral reference. So I ran out of money, and for a while I was like working full time and then going to school, and I felt like I couldn't do both. Some people can. I wasn't really able to do it. I ran out of money after I went part time. I said I need to just stop going to school, but save up some money real fast. Just get a bunch of money real fast from just working really hard. Then I'll go back to school. So I got a job on a fishing boat. And there wasn't internet back then, so there were like these book companies, and the book companies would, this one publisher, Loom Panics, had all these weird books about like kind of things you could do that not everybody else was doing that might get you someplace. Kind of like the print equivalent of the 10 weird tricks that the world doesn't want you to know type of a thing. Okay, I did something wrong on this one. What did I do? It'll be all right. There's just something off in the top left corner. So there was one that was about getting work on fishing boats, and it's supposed to be extremely lucrative. Long story short, it was not. But it was 16 hours a day, 7 days a week, just cutting heads off of fish. And in the same way, as fast as you can. There's a conveyor belt, fish go by you. You pick up a fish, you make 2 cuts into it, the same 2 cuts each time. And you got nothing to think about the whole time. Except maybe like how to improve your efficiency with those cuts. I played with that a little bit. They had some music playing that I would be like way too into, if I'm honest. It's almost like... Alright, hold on. What the hell's going on here? I gotta figure this out. Okay, so there's that. It's not drawing. Okay, that's drawing in the background. Okay, is this angry? Afraid? Angry? Okay, so that... I thought this was going above here. Oh, this is evil. That's why I'm getting messed up. Okay. So I did a bunch of drawing here. It doesn't belong on angry. It belongs on evil. Okay, got it. So I can fix this. Let's grab all this stuff. I'm going to read what you just wrote in a second. Boom. Okay, do I got the... Okay, then we do... Cut. And then we go up to the level above evil. We do a paste. Okay. Huh. Okay. Okay, that's no problem. Then let's merge this down. Okay, now I'm back into a normal state of things. Okay, let's read this. Still understand if trucks have GPS, why drivers road cards, how many kilometers they travel. Twice entered office for the mileage account into the computer and then assign them to the driver. Yeah, it sounds like you're in one of those pockets of low productivity that can't last forever. Meaning, eventually, your company is going to have some consultant guy come in and say, hey, you know what you could be doing that will save you a whole bunch of money? Let me install this software. You're going to love it. And then, you know, you might not have a job after that, Mr. Fright Law. I'm sorry. Keep your resume up to date and be looking around. That would be my advice if this is your job. Or be looking at other stuff in the same company, because that sounds like that job's days are numbered. I don't understand the situation, but it happens all the time, all over the place. There's things people do that don't make any sense, and whenever it's like that, because we live in a capitalist society, either they're going to fix those mistakes or they're going to go out of business. Because there'll be some other company that's not doing the stupid shit they're doing, and their profit margins will be better or something like that, you know. Anyways, the fishing boat job is just I can still remember all the movements with the knife. I can still remember over and over again pulling a wet fish off the line, and the exact position above the fin on it where the first knife cut goes in just above the fin, and then you take the knife on the other side of the fish and you pull it towards you just a little bit, and it starts a tiny little slit on the side of the fish, and then you push it down and you bring the back blade part of the knife down against the cutting surface, and you've got a neat little triangle chopped out of the top of the head. Well, you're in a better place then. I don't know where you're Actually, I don't know, you're in a better place. You could be in a cardboard box by the side of the road with your tablet hooked up to some pirated Wi-Fi. What's your problem with immersion in C#? I don't understand by immersion. I think the word immersion is confusing me a bit. To me, it might mean that okay, you're just like going into it as deeply as you can. I think that's what you mean by immersion. But I may misunderstand. And then, like, you go at it so hard that it's like your brain gets very tired. Is that a good restatement of what you mean? Alright, then I just got to do the Specular Highlight and I'll be done with this one. Okay. So I've noticed for myself that when I'm really learning something difficult, I get exhausted. There's no question about it. There's this guy who comes on the stream, Cicada Forest, and in many ways he's a better developer than me, particularly at Unity, which I don't know as many of the things that he does. Reading a good book, 4 hours, watch TV show, but with learning programming I have. Yeah. So there were some sessions on this stream where Cicada would come on and he would teach me something really, really fast. But that didn't mean that it was easy. It's actually exhausting. And after a couple hours of getting very specific information from him that I didn't know before and hadn't thought about, I would walk away exhausted, but like you, I would say, but I did learn something. And that's what really fast learning feels like. It is exhausting. It's fucking tiring. Like if you ever get like if you go to like a class at school, and I know this has happened to me a number of times, where the instructor decided to take specific attention to me. Like maybe after class they said, okay, let's sit down for 5-10 minutes and let's try to work on this together. Those were the times when I learned the most. But damn, I was like thinking like I gotta get out of here. I can't. I'm just overloaded. It's like it's too much. But those were also the times when I learned the most. When I had that uncomfortable feeling like my brain was overloaded and there just wasn't enough capacity. So yeah, it sounds like you're pushing yourself, which is good. I think at the start of like learning something, like a new subject, there's more moments like that where it's just, oh God, I'm exhausted. So, anyways, I hope you get what you want out of it. It sounds like you're doing it right. All right, so I spent way too long on that one, but let's move on. All right, now we'll move over to the suspicious one. So let's take the reference and move it over. Yeah, going back to that fishing boat, the thing that bothered me the most about it was just the sheer repetition. Just it felt like also like I would never learn anything there. You know, it would always be this dull repetition. Oh. Yeah, I could see that would be like double whammy. You know, there's like English learning plus topic learning at the same time. So I know like a little bit of Spanish, but the idea of also trying to learn a topic with content in Spanish at the same time that wasn't Spanish itself, that would be, well, I mean, it'd be better once I was more, if I was approaching fluency in Spanish, that would be better, but still it would be a pain in the ass. I think I'm really more like somewhere between basic survival Spanish and fluency, closer to survival Spanish. I have a lot of respect for people that become fluent or figure out things in a second language where they can express the full range of complicated thoughts and stuff that were in their head in the first language, but in the second language. That's really amazing to me, actually. Okay, let's got that there. Get the shadow next. You said OPP. Did you mean OOP, like object-oriented programming? Oh yeah. Yeah. No, it's very high level concepts. Also, I feel like object-oriented programming has fallen out of favor a fair amount recently. Maybe the last 5 years or so with functional programming, but I still think there's a lot of use for object-oriented programming. Just maybe not on every project, or maybe not using every single feature of object-oriented programming. But like encapsulation is a good concept. The idea that you might hide or abstract away information inside of an object, data structures inside of an object, and just have an interface, whether it be methods or to get at that data. To me, that's valuable. It won't ever stop being valuable. Inheritance is a little trickier as far as seeing like when is it valuable, when it's not valuable. Because some people just really overdo inheritance, in my opinion. One of the best ideas that came around in programming languages was, let's not have multiple inheritance, let's just have single inheritance, and maybe interfaces. Because it got really hard to make updates to the base classes without affecting all the child classes multiple levels deep and in different places. That stuff got really fucking hard. To the point where I thought the people that... Oh, hiccups. No hiccups, please. I think the people that created the original object-oriented programming, I forget who it was. Like, I want to say like it came in with C++, but I think it came in before that. They hadn't had like those decades of real-world experience in writing like super large systems with thousands of classes, and like we didn't know all the pain points of what would happen when you have just these crazy nested hierarchies of base classes and child classes all deriving from each other in chains. And but it's good stuff, actually. It's just the early implementations of OOP had some problems. Now, if anything, maybe functional's gone a little too far. Functional's kind of interesting to me. I think there are moments where it seems like the right thing to use. But it kind of presupposes... It puts this sort of bias that everything ought to be have one set of inputs that go into a function, and then it comes out as an output, and that those operations are particularly worthwhile to separate out that way. So then you write really inefficient code because you're trying so hard to make everything be an operation that takes an input and gives you an output. And it creates its own kind of necessity for arcane knowledge, and kind of it feels like it's an inefficient way of solving different problems. Some problems it works great on. It makes a lot of sense. And others it doesn't. That's why I'm reluctant to say like object-oriented programming is a waste of time and we should just move on, because I feel like the functional camp has gotten a little bit ridiculous. The more strident functional people, at least. Okay, let's get that. Let's get the highlights on there. Okay, and I guess I am saying that the top of the lip is going to have a little bit of a shadow on it, so let's get that there too. Did I botch this highlight? Maybe a little bit. Okay, I can get both of those fixed. Boom. Okay, and let's pull this down there. A little sloppy, a little bit sloppy. Let's fix that up. Okay, that's fine. Moving on. So that was, what was that one? That was suspicious. Okay. So the next one is going to be amused. Let's take the reference, move it down to amused. Yeah. All right, fix this up. Just bringing the shadow down a little bit. So I don't have to redraw the whole thing, just shave a little off the top since the bottom of the nose is drooping further down here. This I'll just redraw. Okay. Alright, I think I'm going to finish this phase, and then I'll probably go off stream after that. Got some more things I got to get going. Let's see. Looks like I missed a few things up here, just barely. Let's get this. Okay, then the highlight. Oh. Man, it's a weird thing when you know a sneeze is coming. It's like a miniature storm that you prepare for. Okay. Check the reference. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Alright, this is my dropping off point right here. I'm going to do a few things, get myself some lunch or brunch, and I'll probably keep going on this stuff, but just off stream. Hopefully tomorrow I should have the face done and in the game to demo, which should be pretty cool. For the first time, I'll be able to see M's face talking to a different face besides her own, which I'm quite looking forward to. Alright, well, Fright Law, thanks for hanging out with me. It was fun talking for a bit. And anybody else that might be hanging out, happy to have you here. I will catch you later. Stopping the stream. I'm stopping the stream. I gotta do it.